right, welcome back. Welcome back. And we do have our guests, and let's welcome Ms. Sonya Beharry. She's Communications Specialist, Coordinator, Communications Unit, the Gender and Child Affairs, National AIDS Coordinator Committee. With her, and of course this is from the Prime Minister's Office, Ms. Quammie-Alleyne, and she is Coordinator, National Policy on Gender and Development, Gender Affairs Division. Good morning and welcome, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Very good.
Thank you for having us, but I have to make a correction. I'm the Project Execution Officer of the Gender Affairs Division. Yeah, so that's a slight change.
My apologies. I did not know that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the correction. All right, well, let's go into it. What is the 16th day of activism against gender-based violence?
Good morning again, and thank you for having my colleague and I. The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is an annual international campaign which was started by activists in an inaugural Women's Global Leadership Institute. It continues to be coordinated every year by the Center for Women and Global Leadership, and it is a time to galvanize action to end gender-based violence, particularly violence against women and girls.
Mm-hmm. All right, and well described there. And I know we have to talk about World's Children's Day as well, but let's continue along the vein of the 16 days of activism. And I understand that there would be some observances and stuff, but let's look at how the rollout of the observation would take place, because the 16 days would already started, right?
Yes.
That is correct. It would have started this Monday, the 25th of November. I'm rushing ahead. So we started the 25th of November with the International Day for, to eliminate violence against women. My apologies. Excuse me if I'm sniffling. And we started off with our Trinidad and Tobago National Rally in Queen's Hall. We had youth from various schools as well as from the general public coming in, and we had some gender sensitization sessions, some theatrical as well as some rapport sessions, and we will continue straight through to December. So on Sunday, it's World AIDS Day, and we will be commemorating World AIDS Day with two major events. One on the Sunday itself with youth again, because we recognize that the prevalence of HIV and the rate of infections among youth is rising, and it is a matter of concern for us. So we want to address youth, address risky behaviors, address protective behaviors, address seeking medical assistance when necessary. And the 16 days continue through to the 10th of December, which is Human Rights Day, because we recognize, of course, that violence against women, violence against men, all forms of child abuse, all of those are human rights. And once we truly want to observe human rights, and once we treat everybody, inclusive of persons living with HIV, if we treat them well with the care and support that every human deserves, we know that we will reduce the incidences of domestic violence and violence against women and girls. So that is the span of the 16 days of activism, the 25th of November, pausing at the 1st of December and continuing straight through to the 10th of December.
Is there a particular theme for this 16 days of activism?
For 2024, the Unite campaign is 16 days of activism. Theme is Towards Beijing and Unite, End Violence Against Women and Girls. So that's the theme we'll be running with. And you see I'm wearing orange. The color we're asking with the call to action is that we wear the color orange. You can put it around your building, put up flags. And that's the theme that we'll be going with, which ask us to remember to invest in women, to continue empowering women from a financial perspective and from a psychosocial perspective. And this Unite campaign goes on, as my colleague says, until December 10th, and is celebrated around the world.
And what is this event being in commemoration of the 16 Days of Activism with? What is it in commemoration with?
Well, the truth is we're not having just one event. We have multiple events we've started this week, we are continuing next week, straight through till the 10th. So on Monday, as I said, we had our national rally in Queen's Hall. And today, we actually have a ceremony of distribution of one-off grants to organizations, civil society organizations with a gender-focused, child-focused, as well as one with a focus on persons living with HIV. So today, we have that small event. Tomorrow, we'll be in Tobago in Shaw Park. And this is where we're joining both the World Children's Day activities as well as the 16 Days of Activism. And then next week, we continue with additional events, even straight through to the 10th, where we'll have a town hall meeting that is open and free to the public that deals with stigma and discrimination. But tomorrow, I really want to highlight tomorrow because tomorrow has the Wellness and Inclusion Fair. And remember we said it's a human rights issue. Gender-based violence is a human rights issue. World Children's Day is also a human rights issue because children have rights and we have to respect those rights. So tomorrow, we're bringing together children from as young as ECC, that is early childhood care and education centers, straight up to tertiary level youth. So primary school students, secondary school students, private, public schools, all of them were invited. And we're encouraging even for those persons whose children may be home, because you don't have exam maybe tomorrow, please bring them to Shaw Park from 10 straight through to 2 p.m. because we're having a wealth of activities for the general public, inclusive of the adults and caregivers who are coming, because we're also inviting children with disabilities. Because again, human rights issue, inclusion, all children, everybody deserves access to free health services and proper health services. So we're going to have testing tomorrow, all the blood works. There's also going to be vision screening, hearing screening, and they're taking appointments for dental services. So I still encourage everybody, please make use of this. We're also having theatrical and other workshops centered around gender issues because we are tying in the 16 days of activism. We're having performances, of course, because it's children and you have to keep them active. So we're having educational games as well as theatrical and musical performances by children themselves. So we have one of our child rights ambassadors who will, let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly, Aluma George. So she will be performing, and I'm putting a plug here for parents. Please consider this. For children, please consider this. When you come tomorrow to Shaw Park, you have the opportunity to sign up as a child rights ambassador. And the Child Rights Ambassador Program also trains children in being advocates for child rights and teaching them about media use so that they can advocate in various media, public speaking as well. And this is, of course, grooming and nurturing our younger generation so that they can truly handle the mantle of leadership even as they progress through their years. So this is a wonderful initiative that we encourage all children to give serious consideration to, and trust and believe it will benefit you. And even as you grow stronger in your own voice, you would be advocates for women and girls so that everything is interrelated. We're not just going to say it's just for children on one side and gender on the other side. Both are human rights issues, and once we strengthen our youth, they can address all of these issues that we as the older ones are still struggling with as well.
Very good. Well, I was going to ask you, well, you answered all the questions basically, so there's not much to ask anymore, except to say, so what is the main message? And of course, you spoke to the message there just you would want people to go away with, besides what you just explained. We understand that. But is there another, maybe a hidden message that you would want to share with the world?
I want to share that the significance of observing the 16 days of activism is to show the day as where we raise awareness, to the issue of violence against women and girls, to encourage survivors and victims to come forward because we have the Domestic Violence Act, to encourage organizations to collect data like CSOs and faith-based organizations, collect data that could be used to further programs and to enhance policies and to include men's voices in the dialogue. So that's part of the significance of having it, to encourage survivors and to encourage others to do a little more so that we can eliminate violence against women and girls.
Right, fantastic. And as for our viewers and listeners, of course, recognition of World Children's Day and also the 16 Days of Activism. I like how everything is coming together and the encouragement for persons to participate. Just shifting back to the World Children's Day, in terms of, as you said, persons can just attend and it's open to even guardians, parents as well. But any other events for children to look forward to coming out of your unit?
Of course, the Child Affairs Division, continues throughout the year to interface with the general public as well as children, specifically about child rights, children's responsibilities, as well as social issues that we need to culture their thinking around. I have to say culture and nurture because remember, it's a learning experience. It's open dialogue so that we could debunk myths that media may be pushing and ensure that they have all of the information that they need. So some of the things we have been doing is the pop-ups. And I know persons would have seen our staff on the roadways because we're literally popping up in communities. We're going to schools to have sessions with schools. We're also going to health centers. We have different outreaches that we partner with other agencies, ministries, as well as organizations, civil society organizations. And we encourage our civil society organizations to please invite us to your events, invite us to collaborate. We want to collaborate. We know that our staff is small, but when all of these civil society organizations put their hands to the plow, much will be done. We also have our mental health fairs, for lack of a better word, where we invite school-age children and we treat with their mental health because we recognize that even amongst, from primary school, the pressures of life, be it community, whatever is happening at home, or the pressure from education, our children are being affected. So we seek to treat with that on that end. So it's throughout the year. So while there is a day set aside and we will commemorate the day, our efforts continue throughout the year with all of our collaborators. And let me make sure and put in this plug for children and parents. If you think your child is struggling a little bit or you just want to give them a top up, because you can never go wrong with a mental health top up, there is the website, Caribbean Young Minds, Young Caribbean Minds, my apologies. And there are mental health resources there for children, for adolescents, for teenagers, for youth. We are seeing an increase in suicide. We are seeing issues with bullying, the reports. We want people to get the help. There is help available. There is Childline that you can call for persons in abusive relationships. We have the domestic violence hotline. We have the Rape Crisis Society. We have many places that persons can get help. So, as my colleague said, we are encouraging persons. Reach out, seek the help. It is confidential. You will get the help. Please reach out. As young as you are, we have things for children. You don't even have to ask your parents if to call. You can call. Make the call, get the help.
Very good. Before you go, you will give us the contact numbers. And of course, tomorrow, just remind us what time is this event starting at Shaw Park? And do you have to register? Just tell us how people can access what is offered.
So the event starts at 10 a.m. We are welcoming foot traffic. So there will be schools who would have organized their maxi or their bus full, but we are accepting walk-ins. It's free entry, of course. All of the services provided are free. So we encourage you, please show up. Yes, we may have some persons taking some information from you to the front, but it's not invasive in any way, and we are just encouraging persons to come and benefit from all of our collaborators who will be there.
All right. If, for example, a gentleman is being abused and wants to keep it a secret for the shaming and the condemnation of you being a man and you're taking the abused boy, what is there? Let's say he comes tomorrow and he wants to speak privately to somebody who can guide him accordingly. Is that offered as well?
Yes, there will be, yes, the Gender Affairs Division will be having a table and staff that would be equipped to confidentially take information. But he can also call 800-SAVE, where we have staff that would confidentially speak with him. I must also note that we are now in the process of establishing a shelter for men, but the services that we provide online and spaces for counseling do include men who are being abused, because our national policy covers all citizenry as it relates to violence against persons.
Okay, fantastic.
And let me say, we recently launched our Men's Bureau, which is a multi-pronged approach to addressing men's issues. So we have via our OPM GCA website, there are links to services for men. You can also come in to the St. Clair office and speak with our staff of the Bureau, and we will be hosting men-focused outreaches. And this is also where we invite all of the civil society organizations that provide services for men and boys to please register with the Men's Bureau, so that we know all of whom we should be inviting to carry to, if it's our region, rural communities, or wherever we're going, we want to bring services to the citizens. So yes, we have things in place for men.
One more. Will there be a question and answer segment here? I don't know. I'm just asking. Will that be accommodated in the event that there needs to be that kind of interaction? Any of you could.
We are always happy to share information. So if you're coming, please come. Bring your cameras. Bring everybody. And if you have questions, we will seek to facilitate getting you the answers that you need.
Excellent. All right, that's it.
I think that's it there, ladies. Of course, you could, before you leave, you could distinguish the two main activities, the 16 Days of Activism, in addition to World Children's Day and what is taking place just before we close, so our listeners and viewers can have a clear understanding as to what is happening.
All right, so for the 16 Days of Activism, again, we go straight through until the 10th of December. And one highlight that's coming up, again, like my colleague said, we have the distribution of grants, and we have dignity kits that we're giving to some civil society organizations. And I want to put a plug here for the National AIDS Coordinating Committee. On Sunday, we are having a collaborative event, and it's the first in a series of youth panyard crawl. We are going to panyards across the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, speaking to youth about gender-based violence, and the intersection with HIV and STIs. And our first one is at our Panorama Champs, Massey All Stars, and we'll also be part of the concert that Renegades is having on Sunday. So we are hitting both Panorama Champs to kick off, and we have the blessings of Mrs. Ramsey Moore from Pantrinbago. She knows it's happening, so we got her blessings, to be part of. And so this is what 16 Days is having, in collaboration again with what is happening in Tobago with the Children's Day.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for being with us this morning, and we look forward to being there tomorrow at Shore Park to see the offerings and the information.
Before you go, I really want to stress the numbers that persons can call for assistance.
Yes, please.
And if you can't remember, I will also ask you to always check our Facebook page, our Instagram page, because we always have those numbers there to remind persons. So there's the HIV hotline, 800-4448. There is the Lifeline hotline for persons who are considering suicide at 645-2800. That's 645-2800. For children, we of course have Childline, and that is very simple to remember, 131. So Childline, 131. And for Children's Authority, 996. And for persons who are in abusive situations, even if you're not sure, you're feeling a kind of how, and you need to talk to somebody to find out if this is really what's happening with you, call the domestic violence hotline at 800-SAVE, 800-7283. And of course, the police is always there if you need to make a report, 999. So again, call the numbers, get the help.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you both for being with us this morning. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us.